I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Kelly, and we are back with another video. If you guys are new to the channel and you enjoy true crime stories, news, politics, and so much more, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. I really would appreciate it. And if you are a returning listener, subscriber, well, thank you guys, as always, for being a friend. I really appreciate y'all. And please like the video if you like it. Give me a comment, whatever you can do. It really does help me out, and it's a free way to do so. And I thank everyone in advance for watching this video.
You know the thing.
So let's get right into it. Well, hey there, good people. So we're back once again, and let's just get right on into what we're going to get into today. So I wanted to just jump on here, guys. The RNC was last night. Donald Trump accepted the nomination as the Republican nominee for 2024 election coming up, and it was a very somber, in a way, kind of, you know, bittersweet moment. It just felt very not how I thought it was going to feel. I'm going to be honest with that. Like, you know, I thought it was going to be this, you know, kind of a bit more epic and like joyous moment. But obviously with the events that unfolded over the past week or so, it's safe to say that democracy, quote unquote, you know, is slowly dying. Okay. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because first of all, we don't have a democracy. We have a republic, you know, constitutional republic, and democracy is kind of gay, you know, so, that just, it is what it is, okay? Not everyone should have a say in government, and that's pretty much what democracy means. So, but it is dying, and I'm going to tell you why, and we're going to get into some of the follow-up from the story about the Trump assassination attempt, and there's some fishy stuff going on, guys. Surprise, surprise. I know you guys are probably shocked to hear it, that the narrative that we got is looking more and more likely that is not the narrative that actually happened. And so I've been seeing a lot of things, not only on Twitter, but other people have just been doing extensive research. And you know how people get, you know, internet, one thing it's going to do is it's going to do its thing, okay? And people on the internet are better detectives than actual detectives are. And that's basically what's been going on. And I'm here for it, because we got to get the information one way or another. And if the media is not going to give it to us, if our government's not going to give it to us, then look no further than the Twitter sleuths to really show you what's going on out there. So I wanted to just kind of talk about this and get your thoughts on it, guys. So y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments down below about all of the shenanigans that's been going on. And subscribe to the channel also. I'm really trying to get past 2,000 subscribers, guys. I would love if you would subscribe to this channel. So let's talk about first Trump's RNC speech. Okay, did you guys watch any of the RNC? It was not good. Okay, there was a bunch of really good Americans that spoke, gave testimonials about, you know, what their troubles have been over the last 4 years of Biden's presidency, or over the last 3 years of Biden's fake presidency. And, you know, obviously those people, love to see them. You know, I'm glad that the RNC decided to highlight regular Americans and their stories. There was a couple of really good ones. And then Trump gave his speech, and, you know, it started off really, really good. And I was very, I don't know, just kind of sad to see Trump in the very somber, and I don't know, he just seemed very different. And obviously that's going to be the case after you experience something that he's experienced. Not only the near death, quite literally, you know, situation of nearly having your head blown off on live TV, but everything that he's gone through over the past decade, you know, ever since he came down those escalators and really has been in the trenches with getting his name tarnished. His family reputation has been tarnished. He's had his businesses threatened. He's had financial losses. He's had warfare. He's had lawfare done against him. And now an attempt on his life. I can't imagine what that does to a man, especially someone who has been as successful as Donald Trump and who has really dedicated his life to building what he's built for his family. And, so it was very sad to see Trump in, this kind of, I don't want to say defeated, because he's not defeated. He's just more subdued, I guess you would say. But, it was a good start to his speech, and he thanked, everyone for coming, all of the people that he gave shout outs to. Hulk Hogan was probably one of the highlights of the RNC. That was the most awesome thing ever. He came out and did his whole Hulk Hogan shtick, which very Americana, very wholesome. But, towards the end, he just started becoming long-winded, and he was just repeating the same things over and over again. It was like, if you've seen one Trump speech, you've almost seen them all, because it's he just drives the message home. But then, there was a couple moments in there where I just disagreed with him completely on what he was saying, and I didn't understand why he was saying it. In particular, he started talking about building an Iron Dome for America, which made me want to blow my head off. I don't even know why he said it. I don't want to get into it, because I will literally get so mad, because I did a live last night while I was watching the speech, and I got pissed. I was about to turn it off because I was so mad. But it's just there's so much wrong with that statement, and I really just hope that he went off the cuff and just kind of said something retarded, and he doesn't actually mean that, because fire and brimstone, guys. Because all you're doing is putting money in the pockets of defense contractors and the military industrial complex. And the last thing that we need to do, okay, is do any more weaponry to build an Iron Dome, which America would never need as a country, in the way that we are positioned with our land and everything. I just couldn't believe he said that. So other than that, there were some touching moments. There were some moments where I felt like he could have been a lot stronger. I feel like he was trying to do the whole unity thing a lot. And it's just listen, we can't unite with these people. These people are lunatics. Until the left is willing to change their way of speaking, until the media gets its fucking act together, until the media stops doing the propaganda work of the Democrat Party, there is no reconciliation, really. Honestly, that's the way I feel. They tried to kill President Trump. It's I'm sorry, no. I'm not going to link arms with people who are calling me a Nazi and telling me I have to take a vaccine. I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. Until they become a little bit more American, I don't want to be united with them. I just don't. They don't believe in America's principles. So, I don't know. Did y'all watch it? What did y'all think of President Trump's speech? Because, I was hoping he'd come out strong. I wanted him to rip his freaking bandage off and show everybody his bloody ear, I don't know. Wanted him to, do something crazy, but none of that happened. It was just very much business as usual, but we'll see. We're monitoring the situation. But I want to talk about the shooting and what exactly happened on that day, because a little bit more information has come out since my last video that I did the day after, or very shortly after the initial attempt. And I have to say, guys, I called it. I was on day one saying something stinks with this whole entire thing. This doesn't seem right at all. And I have to say that I was right, because there's all kinds of theories coming out on Twitter, and I want to talk about a couple of them in specific. There has been a lot of talk about a second shooter. Not only, we've already talked about the fecklessness of the Secret Service and the absolute and abject failures of that day to protect the president, but it's was it just simply incompetence, or a failure of security, or whatever other nonsense they've tried to tell us that it was? Or was it something more sinister? Was it actually the deep state trying to assassinate President Trump in order to ignite chaos and create another mass psychosis event in which we're all forced to watch a tragedy all together on national TV, and then enforcing that trauma upon everyone. Then the government is basically allowed to kind of sweep in and just do whatever the hell they want to do. And so they were going to assassinate President Trump on live TV in front of everybody, cause mass chaos, possible riots, possible civil war, and then just basically drag Joe Biden over the finish line so that they could continue to accomplish their goals. And, there's been talk of packing the Supreme Court. There's been all kinds of unconstitutional craziness going around of ideas that they have. And, that it rings true to me that seems like what they were trying to do, because Donald Trump even said at his RNC speech, I wasn't supposed to be here tonight. And the crowd was like, oh, yes, you were, like God and this and that. Which, yes, God knew the plan ultimately, but the deep state didn't, and Donald Trump didn't, and none of us did. So it's like, he really wasn't supposed to be there. If there was no God, he wouldn't have been there. He would have died. He would have been killed. He would have been murdered. And then we all would have lost our ever-loving minds. And there would have been violence. There would have been chaos. And I thank God every day that didn't happen. But, it's like, don't let them now preach a message to you about, people are saying like libs of TikTok is wrong for trying to cancel people because they were saying that they wished Donald Trump would have been murdered. That's bullshit. No, it's not. Cancel culture is appropriate in this moment for those people because those people are demons. Okay? They're demons. And I don't give a shit about your job. If you're going to say on a social media platform that you had wished the president, or anybody for that matter, but specifically President Trump, had been murdered on live TV. For what? For your own selfish whims? You take joy in somebody being murdered? You're a psycho, and you really shouldn't have a job. You should be in a concentration camp somewhere. But I digress. So I want to show you guys a few of these videos. So this little video right here is from John Cullen, I believe his name is. I don't know. I'm going to go to his page in a second. But this is kind of like a bird's eye map view of what they are alleging is the potential for a second shooter, which when you hear the audio, which I'll play all this for you guys, you cannot tell me. I'm pretty convinced by that audio that there was more than one shooter. Because if you understand how ballistics work, and you understand how the sound of the bullets traveling and how if there's different, the same gun firing bullets from the same location over and over again will sound the exact same. So if there's any sort of distortion or distinct difference between the sounds of each bullet firing, you can pretty much be sure that there were two guns and two shooters. So people are alleging that there was a second shooter from the water tower, which you can see right here pictured, and in Google Earth, I have it pulled up right here. So this is where Donald Trump was speaking, and a lot of people are saying that they see or saw a second shooter in the water tower. And like I said, I'm not fully convinced of that just yet because I don't know. I need more information. I need more explanation of that because I don't doubt that there might have been a second shooter. I would say possibly maybe in the woods or at another location. I would even possibly say in the building itself, because apparently there was multiple Secret Service, and there was a Secret Service command center inside of the building that this alleged gunman, which he was, I guess he was, I don't know. This is what we're being told. The person that they killed on top of this roof, this was the Secret Service command area. So they were inside of the building that this guy, this 20-year-old guy, was shooting and getting prepared to shoot President Trump on top of. So if you zoom out here, he would have been right here, right around this grass area right here, and then the alleged or one of the shooters would have been on this building right here. And one of the explanations we got was that, You know, it's possible that the snipers that were positioned here on this building didn't see him because the tree line was blocking his was blocking him from view, which, you know, that just sounds stupid to me because there were other snipers over here on this third building here, and why were there not Secret Service all over the place? Like, they could have positioned themselves inside of the water tower right here and had a great view of everything. But apparently that's not what happened. There were all kinds of blind spots. Why weren't there Secret Service members on top of these buildings here? You know, it just makes not a lot of sense why this area wasn't completely secured, considering how open it is. And being on top of this water tower here, it honestly seems like it would have been a very great vantage point to have.
Hit the ground, and he kept standing. I was like, you gotta get down, boy. You gotta get down. They're gonna shoot you. Because if they would have had like a machine gun, they could have taken us all out. So then we laid there for a while. We saw different places where the gunshots were at. And then they got President Trump down, the Secret Service did, and they took him out of there and got him off of the stage. And he was bleeding. And so then my son and daughter-in-law was back behind us, back behind the fence. And we was worried about them. We couldn't call them. And so we started trying to go after them then when they finally let us up. And they had been right by the fence where the other shooter was. There was one I heard in the water tower. There was one by the fence.
And still, obviously, initial reports. But what we do know...
Girl, what? Okay, I like how this reporter was like, oh, and yeah, she like ripped the mic from me. And still initial reports. Okay, don't listen to this woman right here. No. Ma'am, hello. Why don't you just let her tell a story?
First crack of the gunfire, and I just screamed, it's the sniper, and he was firing down toward the water tower.
That's what we're hearing.
And yeah, and then at that same exact moment, there was a spray from the right side of the stage that I thought was some type of gas. Mm-hmm. Like, or not gas, but smoke. To blind,
sure.
You know, blind up front. And he said it was, he heard it was gunfire, didn't know hydraulic on the track. So the gunfire was coming toward the stage.
Wow.
And then a few minutes later, there was a couple more shots down the hill, and that's when they started flooding and pushing everybody out.
You're out of there as you're starting to process this. I know we'll all be processing this over the coming days and weeks. How are you feeling now in this moment?
Well, what I've heard coming out here is now they feel that there was two shooters on both sides. So they got the one on the tower on this side, but the one on the right side, they never got. So that's why they wanted us to leave immediately, because they thought there's still a shooter out there somewhere. So there could be in these woods around Butler.
Erin, you know, I've covered many Trump rallies. I don't know how many you've been to.
My sixth. This is yours. I was here. I was the fourth car in the parking lot this morning.
That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
So this is from RSBN. It says this wide angle recorded by RSBN shows the entire event unfold and shows all three bystanders get struck by Crook's bullets. So this thread continues and it says the first round fired by Crook's impacts the railing visible in the video quoted here, causing a puff of smoke after grazing Donald Trump. So that's the puff of smoke, the vapor or whatever that is the bullet hitting the railing, supposedly. Okay, and I mean, for all the people like, you know, Keith Olbermann and Joy Reid who say that there was no bullet, this was all a complete and utter fake thing that didn't happen, explain this, okay?
Really see something that said, take a look at what happened. It's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened. Take a look at what happened.
Immediately after this, Crooks fires 2 additional rounds which narrowly miss Donald Trump and strike David Dutch. he is seen reacting to being hit by turning and falling to the ground. So it says, after a short pause, Crooks fires off a second, longer, more controlled volley of rounds. These rounds are further off target, and the first of them strike Corey Comparator and James Copenhaver. Oh my God, we've seen the sign fly. Jesus. Immediately following this, James Copenhaver was also hit. He reacts to being shot by grabbing the rear railing and falling to his knees. So this guy is of the opinion that there was no water tower guy, right? So this is his theory as to what happened. And this is not a view from the water tower. This is the view from Google Earth, which is what we were all just looking at. I mean, this is not accurate representation of what was happening. He did say that he modeled the bleachers in the stage, and here's a view from Crooks's location. I mean, all of this is great and everything, but, you know, this is simply Google Earth. Obviously, you know, it's not a real indication of what was actually going on. There's not all of the same structures that were put in place and all of that, all of those different factors. And you know what else? I want to know why they didn't do like a full forensic investigation, or did they? I don't know. This is all information that we still don't really know. It's not really clear. And it seems like, you know, Candace was saying today that it feels like they're just sweeping this under the rug, kind of like how they did the Las Vegas shooting. You know, it was reported about initially, like, you know, with a lot of vigor and with a lot of enthusiasm and things like that. And like, you know, it's a big deal. It's a huge freaking deal. And now they're back to calling Trump Nazi. They're back to like talking about how Biden's going to drop out of the race because he's so retarded. And it's like, hello, did we not just have a possible assassination on a president just like last week? Did we not have a guy die? Like, was there ballistic analysis done on scene? I mean, I know that they can pinpoint exactly the angle from where those bullets came pretty easily. In my, you know, from what I'm told. I mean, those little sticks, like, can we get those sticks on scene? Did somebody do the sticks? There was a photo circulating of the FBI agent washing the roof of that building, like very shortly after. I mean, what the hell's going on? Was this actual? I mean, I feel like all those structures should still be up in that field. They should still be combing through that area with a fine-tooth comb. And I saw a picture on Twitter today that the water tower is now blocked off because so many people are pointing to it and saying that something is not right and something fishy is going on. And why were the Secret Service so confused as to where the shots were coming from? And why were they not able to locate the shooter before he started shooting? And why were there multiple witnesses who were talking about two separate shooters and two separate locations from which bullets were coming? There's a lot of questions.
That's the water tower. Boom. The water tower blocked off. The cops are passing me. Blocked off before. That's the water tower. Boom.
Talking about another angle. Can you see him? No, we can't see. No, I can't see him. You know, I like the people who are on here asking questions and digging, you know, as much as they're digging. But sir, you can't be fucking serious. No, we can't see anybody right here. This is where you see him? No, can't say that I do. So, you know, if you guys want to go and check out those videos, I can't.
Take a look what happened.
I mean, my God, absolute divine intervention. And he almost had a second shot to his head. My God. Jeez, so close. Okay, so this was the explanation of the supposed 11 shots, and I guess they isolated the audio. I still don't hear, listening to the RSBN version of this video, the last, what would that be, 2 shots. Like I heard, what did I say, 9 or 8 or something like that. But this is what they were alleging, and they isolated apparently 11 shots. And the last 3 or 4 don't seem right. Like, it doesn't seem, because what were they still shooting at that point? So let's watch this. Okay, I heard that. What is this guy? People who are just standing, like, no concern for their life. Like, this guy has not, like, I don't even think he ducked. I don't know. I didn't hear that many, but especially, I heard, I think 4 on that last volley. They're alleging 5 right there. And another one there. But they said 9 and 10. Like, how do you just count? Where was the 10th? Okay, so alleging 1, 2 happened in quick succession. And then an 11th. Like, this 11th one doesn't make sense. Was like, there was 11. Like, who was shot there? What the actual F? I don't know. It's so hard to tell. See, this is what I thought too. People are saying first 3 shots sound like they came from the same gun. The second volley of either 4 to 5 shots sounded like it came from a completely different gun. And then the last, 2 to 3 or however many were left sounded like they came from at least a third, maybe even a 4th gun. And I want to listen to it one more time.
There were 2 shooters. So let's reorient ourselves with the scene again. Let me get my drawing tool out, or my pointing tool. Okay, so first up, they tell us that the shooter was here. This is very accurately located on the roof off of the drain pipe, as we covered before. I'll show you that one more time. I just want to make sure we're all sharing the same orientation, because this is important, right? And we have 2 victims here. Comparator, who died, another guy who's very severely injured. He has life-altering injuries. And then another gentleman back here in the upper right part of the stand. I'm going to show you all this evidence, okay? So first up, we need to know where all the shots went, right? And I'm going to show you that the first 3 shots came from a very different weapon.
This is another inconsistency that I'm seeing right here, because there are so many people looking at this and proposing different theories that, like, I'm just kind of showing you guys different pieces of evidence that I found to be compelling, and that I do think people are on the right track. We just haven't developed an actual factual understanding of the entire situation. People are still kind of putting it together, but the inconsistency here is that he's showing there were 2 victims in the bleachers where Corey Comparator was standing, as opposed to 2 victims in these bleachers over here where behind Trump was standing. So, it's still developing, and I'm not attaching myself to any one idea just yet. I'm hoping there's going to be more information, and otherwise we're just eventually going to have it all trickle out, and it's going to have to be put together slowly by everybody kind of working together to figure all this out, because if our government won't do it, then I guess people on the internet are going to have to.
In a different location than the next string of shots that came out. It's either 5 or 6, depending on how you count. But you decide, listen, it couldn't be more clear how different they are. This is the picture from on the roof of, Crooks lying here dead. There's a little blood trailing down back here, but this allows us to locate him on the roof very, very accurately because of this raised seam metal roof. And now the story is that there's actually, you can't see it in this photo, but there's a 5-foot ladder here. Apparently he came up, would have come across, would have jumped down onto here, would have come up. Maybe that explains why his backpack, if that's what that is left there, came over to here. Apparently some other cop would have been lifted up and looked over roofline. I don't know what that is. Now, even in CNN a while ago, this is from CNN. So I'm saying even because these guys are deep state sort of aligned. Operation Mockingbird. They don't print stuff unless it's pre-approved. So somebody allowed this information to come out. And they said here that the first 3 shots were consistent with weapon A, and the next 5 consistent with alleged weapon B, and the final acoustic impulse admitted by a third possible weapon C. I believe that's true. And weapon C is the sniper taking out Crooks, I think. Best guess. I'll give you my big hypothesis at the end. So this was confirmed. This is per audio analysis by Catalin Gregores, director of the National Center for Media Forensics at the University of Colorado in Denver. So I'm sure that her and Cole Whitecotton, a senior professional research associate, they have much better access to much better analysis software and all of that. All I need to get out to you today is something that seems to be missing from the dialogue, and they're trying to run forward with this lone shooter junk, which of course is straight from their playbook. That's how they did it. That's what they did with JFK. They lied about that. That's what they did with RFK. They lied about that. So this is standard from the playbook kind of stuff. Lone nut with a mysterious motive we can't unravel. We're here to unravel all of that, okay? Rock solid, absolutely conclusive. And this is the best part about being alive today. We don't have to wait for 30, 40 years for a Zapruder film and people to sort of analyze it. We're doing this in real time and figuring this out as it's unfolding. And that is the absolute benefit of living in today's world with all these cell phones and cameras. Much harder to get away with really sloppy operations. And this was a sloppy operation because they missed the man, whoever was involved in this. But I can guarantee you that the information I'm presenting to you, they also have. But somehow they're hiding it, which of course is par for the course with these particular crew of people. Okay, and they said audio analysis has confirmed the gunman was 360 to 390 feet, 3 feet away. Okay, according to another forensic expert, Robert Mayer. Yeah, we all end up in the same ballpark. I end up a little closer to 430 feet, but doesn't matter. All within the realm of analytical wiggle room. Okay, so this is we're going to analyze 2 separate audio streams today. This is the first one. This is taken from a microphone right in front of the podium. So you're going to hear 2 things, of course. You're going to hear a snap. Sounds very sharp sound. That's the supersonic crack of the bullet flying within, sending its supersonic shockwave to the microphone. Microphone picks it up like that. And then there's the report of the gun, which follows a little later. Sounds like an echo, so it goes crack thump, crack thump. The crack thump is a well-known tool that snipers would use to estimate how far away somebody is that's shooting them. If there's a very long distance between the crack and the thump, that your shooter's very far away because the bullet flies faster than the speed of sound. So the sound is the explosion of the gun. Boom! That starts traveling towards, the victim down there or whoever's downrange. But the bullet gets there first. And it gets there at supersonic velocity, which means faster than 1,100 feet per second, give or take the altitude and conditions. So if anything's traveling faster than the speed of sound, it has a sonic boom, crack, right? So that's what we're going to hear. You're going to hear first in this tape. First, you're going to hear 3 very clearly distinct crack thumps. And then things get a little confusing. Right? It gets a little fast. And so how do you count and all of that? Somebody, whoever put this video together, did the counting. Thank you for that. However, I think there's some room for interpretation here as well about that. So without any further ado, this is that
Take a look at what happened.
Wait. Hang on. I'm going to hear one more. There it was. There's that last one. Okay. One more time.
Take a look at what happened.
Listen to this. Can you hear that? That's 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then hard to unravel what's happening there because we have echoes. We've got them overstacking each other. So there's 2 supersonic cracks that come in, and later the thumps of the gun come in, the crack thumps. So it gets a little tricky to unravel. So let's do that and go there. Okay. First up, I want a big shout out to Mike Adams at Health Ranger. He was out with this within minutes for those first 3 shots. Clued me in to the idea that we really did need to take a look at the other one. So way to go, Mike. Thank you for picking that up and doing that. All right. This is the audio file. I pulled it into a program called Audacity, right, off of that video. And I find on here 9 separate shots, okay? So I find 3, then a grouping of 5, and then one last one out there. Number 9, I think, this is the sniper shot that would have, I think, looks like it took out Crooks just above the left eyebrow. If you want to go look at those, or, the gross pictures, right? Obviously, he's all bloody and dead. They have that close-up picture of...
it almost even sounds like that last one was, fired at extremely close range, meaning close range to the shooter himself. Almost like somebody was on the rooftop with him or very close to the rooftop, much further away from the microphone that picked up the initial 8 shots. And it was fired not by the sniper that was directly behind Trump. So I kind of agree after hearing his analysis that sniper that was just over Trump's shoulder that could be seen was not the one that shot that killed him. That's just what it sounds like to me, because that 9th shot was such a... you could obviously hear the distinct difference in that one. I mean, I tend to think that these even sounded like they were from a different gun. These 4 to 8, even that sounded a little bit different than the initial 3 shots. It sounded like it was possibly a little bit closer than these first 3, and obviously the shot pattern was different. So the first 3 were shot very deliberately, boom, 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 and then the others were boom, 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 boom. So it just seems like it was a different person and possibly in a different gun.
Of his face, right? And you can actually see a hole right about here over the left eyebrow. So we have those first 3 shots, then we have the 5, and then that last one. I'm not going to worry about the last one as much, but we're going to have to look at these first sets very, very carefully here.
I'm worried about the last one. I'm worried about all of them.
So here is video number 1. Just to orient ourselves, I count off of this video 15.8 seconds from the very first to the very last shot. So the AP article that said, oh, crooks took a shot and was neutralized by snipers within seconds, what they meant was 15.8 seconds, unless I have this story wrong. Next, we're going to look at these first 3 shots here so you understand how we can analyze the rest of them. And so here's the shot. This is the sonic crack. So that's the bullet is the blue arrows. And then the report is going to be the black arrows. So that's the crack, thump, crack, thump, crack, thump. And of course, it was the first bullet that nicked Trump's ear. And again, let me get my thing here. Here's what it sounds like. Okay. So now I've just isolated the sound. There it is. Okay. Oops, sorry. One last time just to make sure we're hearing this right.
Who was that?
There's 0.22 seconds between the crack and the thump, and knowing a little bit about the type of the bullet that was used and the caliber of it and the air conditions and things like that, you can estimate the distance of the shooter and how far away the shooter was. So that 0.22 second gap between the crack and the thump is very important because it helps us identify that a gun is being shot from that distance. If there were any other lengths, like if we saw a crack, thump, we would clearly see that that was 2 separate weapons because assuming the first and the last crack thumps were the same distance apart. So if there's any variation between the crack and the thump, that's when you say, oh, that's a different weapon. So that's one way. The other way is just the tenor of just the sound of the weapon. Does it sound different? Now, this is interesting. This woman here had put up a video on TikTok. I really wish we could get the unaltered, I call it unmolested. I don't need all the words put on there. And it's not a consistent video, so there's edits in there. So I can't, if it ran from beginning to end, we could tell more, but I'm suspecting that we can tell a lot from it. So we're going to bring it up here because this is one of the videos, only videos that I know about that shows, I think, the first stand victim getting shot. So here we go.
Side of Trump. I'm over on the far right or far left of Trump. These are the same bleachers. Watch the top left. These are the same exact bleachers. These are to the left of Trump. Those shots.
Okay. What I've done here is, so I just want us to look at, I just pulled out that one tiny section. You can clearly see a bullet careening off of this railing up here, and it does it with enough force to atomize and vaporize. And so I think this is an important clue. We'll see. So let's just look at that over and over again. Pew, did you see that? Again, pew, see that? Okay, whoops, one more time. And again. So you can clearly see this shot happening. Now, this gentleman who's right, and get my laser pointer back, this gentleman right here is in a very, very distinctive American flag shirt of some kind. You can see him hunch over there a little bit, and I'm pretty sure that that shot that you see careening off the rail struck him first. And the reason I think that struck him first, because we showed this before, is from this video that's after the fact. They're on the right side of the stands.
No way.
You can see he's being brought down.
Oh my gosh.
And you can see here, he's holding, I'll get my laser pointer back. He's holding his right chest, holding that, right? With his left arm is coming over. So his right chest, I don't know the extent of his injuries. I can't find any updates in the media right now, so we're going to be watching out for that. But if he was struck in that upper right chest and the bullet still managed to take something off of the railing into a puff, we see a very clear puff there. I don't think that's a .223 round. .223 round, a little 55 or a 62 grain bullet. When they hit, they tend to tumble. This would have to have had enough force to have nicked Trump's ear, if I'm right about this being the first shot, nicked his ear,
I don't know,
traveled in, struck this gentleman, and still had enough force to vaporize either the railing or that was the bullet itself atomizing. That was what that gray puff was. More likely, that's a larger caliber round, but that's a guess, pure hypothesis, pure conjecture. I'm just throwing it out there.
But also, do we know what kind of rifle the shooter had? Have they even said that? Not that I've seen. I mean, they're alleging it's an AR-style rifle, but that could mean anything. That could also mean that it was a, because a lot of what they call AR-style rifles aren't necessarily 223s and 5.56s. It could be also an AK style that looks, I mean, they look very similar. If you don't really know about guns, an AK and an AR look, I mean, to the naked eye and to the untrained eye, almost identical. So you really wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, unless he's alleging that it came from like a 300 Win Mag or something like that, like a crazy big round. I mean, which I don't know. I mean, they make AR style rifles in just about any caliber. You can get an AR style 22, like a regular little 22 rifle, but it looks like an AR-15. So not everything that is quoted as AR style shoots a 223 or 5.56. A lot of these guns are just made to look in that style, but they shoot smaller rounds. So there's really no telling unless they have come out with that information, which I haven't seen it.
Older, but that would be more consistent with something, say, in a 308, some 30 caliber sort of a round, something with enough energy to penetrate and still atomize and vaporize on the back railing. But again,
that would hurt.
Just a guess. Doesn't matter. Just speculation. It's kind of irrelevant. But again, if we're back here, again so I think you can see that puff right there. See that? Oops, sorry. And puff. 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 So he's been hit, and also it's on his right side. So, and if you see how he's oriented, he's all the way up against the back with his right side tipped towards the back. So this is as high up as you can get. Now, the other thing I need to point out about that is he is all the way in the highest row of bleacher seats. Those things start roughly at about stage level, which is about 3.5, 4 feet in the air, and then they go up level. So if you said it's, I don't know, a foot or foot and a half per level, he's clearly many feet up in the air, and he's standing. So that bullet that struck him has to be, I don't know, pick a number, 12, 15 feet in the air, pretty high up, and that's going to become important again in just a second. All right, so this is plausible for the first shot then, okay? We see here if the shots came from the rooftop shooter first, then comes across the podium. Trump would have been standing right about there and could have struck somebody standing in the back right where that gentleman was with the flag shirt who got hit. So that's entirely plausible, but except it's a little bit more consistent with a rising shot, because if we put the podium at about 3.5 feet, 4, let's call it 4, we'll put Trump at 6'3", but take 3 inches off, so 10 feet. 10 feet, that bullet goes whizzing by his ear. But if this is why we need all the trajectories, that's why we need all this mapped out, that's why we need an absolute accounting of every single shot taken. If that was the first shot that struck that gentleman, okay? And that's why if I had that unmolested video and I could piece it in, I could tell you exactly. So hold this as just a bunch of conjecture until we have more. But if that gentleman was struck by the same bullet that took Trump's ear, that means that thing must have been on a rising trajectory, because Trump's at 10 feet. And then further back, this guy, his chest is probably at 13, 14 feet. It's higher in the air. That would have been more consistent with a shot fired from lower down that was then rising instead of a shot fired from the roof, which would have been declining and coming down. I'm giving you this because this is going to be in a few slides. You're going to see why I'm making a point about this. Okay, so the audio from video 1, when we look at it here, the first 3 shots we can make complete sense of. Okay, fine. Then there's a 4th shot that arrives, and it does so with a bullet and a report at 0.212 seconds, close enough for government work here, or rough analysis. Here's another bullet and a report, so that's the snap crack. There's echoes. We see there's echoes, so the bullet makes a and then the sound is echoing, probably off of one of the buildings. We have a lot of flat surfaces back there. So the microphone is here, supersonic crack, and the crack makes it to the microphone, and then it echoes off of something. And so we see the crack and an echo. We could probably very, very accurately estimate how far away that flat surface is off of that echo, and then you get the report itself. Crack thump, crack thump. So shots 4 and 5, I'm still pretty good with shots 4 and 5 in terms of being able to make sense of them. From 6 on, man, it gets all kinds of weird. And I'm not going to take you through the weirdness from video 1. To try and resolve what's happening with those other shots, we're now going to turn to video 2. This really clarifies everything and makes the entire case. So we'll listen to it up through the shots, which is about 20 seconds of tape. Yeah, I won't take you through all the screaming and everything. And by the way, not for nothing, but screaming, I don't understand people who just start screaming and then just don't stop.
I knew it! Oh my god! You took the words right out of my freaking mouth. And listen, I've kind of poked fun at this, and it does get on my freaking nerves. And especially with like dumb stuff, like people in car crashes, women in car crashes, or just the most minor of incidents in everyday life, who scream. I mean, I could just literally, I could throw myself off a building. But in this scenario, I feel like it's a little bit different. You almost like something takes over you. But I'm so glad he said that, because it's like, I'm not the only one. I mean, yes, it's just, why? What does screaming solve? It doesn't solve anything. It is a way to get your I don't know, your crazy terror out of your body, I guess. But it's a gut reaction. But I think that's hilarious
in an event like this. So listen past this. It's a little. There's a lot of screaming. I don't understand people who just start screaming and then just don't stop in an event like this. So listen past this. It's a little. It's there's a lot of screaming going on, but you can clearly hear shots 1, 2, and 3, and then you can hear the other string of shots come out. We're going to analyze it. I'll break it down. We'll take a look at it. However, I do want to tell, pre-stage this a little bit, and for yourself, decide for yourself, does 1, 2, and 3, do they sound the same at all compared to the other ones that you hear? Okay, and remember, we already have the analysis from audio experts elsewhere saying there's a difference between weapon A and weapon B. And I can show you that the rounds fired from weapon B were also aimed at the stage. Okay, so this is important. 2 weapons, one fires a string of 3, another fires a string of 5 or 6, depending on how we count, and off they go. And they were also out hitting the crowd and headed towards Trump. Okay, this is important because now we do not have a lone gunman anymore. Okay, so listen up. Here we go. And then that one more. That's the 6th
totally
I'm unclear on. Let's listen to this again. Muffled,
Wow.
and then right? That's what I hear. Oh.
I mean, what the hell?
And a lot of screaming. Okay, so let's analyze this now. Let's go into this with a little bit more depth. So video 2, the way I score it, there's about 16.0 seconds from first to last shot, so very consistent with what we're experiencing on the first audio, so that's nice. They kind of line up pretty well. And here's the whole audio from all that screaming and the shots from video 2. We have in blue the first 3 shots here. We have more shots here from a second weapon. I'm not sure about this one. It has a very different sound that we heard. And here's the final last shot, which I believe is from... Oops, sorry, I don't have my thing. You don't know what I'm pointing at. This is the 5 that make a very distinct sound. Here's one with a very different crack in it. That's the 6th shot in the string. And then here we have the final last one, which I think is the sniper weapon, which is probably the one that put the bullet just over the left eye of Crooks on the roof. So we're going to take a closer look at the blue, the red, the blacks here and listen to these things. But once again, let's just listen very carefully. And we'll go back and forth until you're certain of this yourself. Here's just the first 3 shots from that video. I haven't done anything, no audio, I haven't done any enhancements. This is both of these video audio pieces are exactly pulled straight from the video itself. Nothing else. I haven't boosted any, I haven't done any filtering, raw files, okay? So, and by the way, every instinct in me was to try and minimize all the screaming, but I was like, nope, that just add, like, what did you do? And then there's questions. These are raw files. Here's 1, 2, and 3 to start. Okay, listen to that again. And one more time. Okay.
Even that first one sounded different. Like, the first one sounded louder than the second 2. I mean, but those did sound consistent with, you know, the same weapon, but let's see.
Into the next string.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what I heard.
Ooh.
Okay, so he's saying that the last one sounded weird?
Yeah. Hear that?
Oh.
So.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be a total of, now we're at a total of 9. Interesting. So is that, okay. Oh, wow.
Okay, listen to that again. And one more time. Okay. Now let's listen to the next string. Ooh.
Yeah, that 6th one sounded deep. Like, what the hell? That almost sounded like the sniper rifle round that would have killed him. But those all sound like very similar locations. Like, and then that very last one that I don't know if he'll have captured it on this video file here, because it sounds crazy off in the distance. Like, it sounds like I don't even know where that could be coming from. It sounded like it was like a sniper that was in a like far off location. I don't know.
Yeah. Hear that? So 6 sounds different to me, but here's an interesting thing. 1, 2, and 3, besides being muffled and further away, it doesn't have echoes. Here we have, this is a shot here, this one, this peak. Oh, darn it, I don't have my thing up again. Here we go. So this here is a shot. This is an echo. Very clearly an echo, and a shot and an echo, and a shot and an echo. So this is actually critical evidence, because you hear that, there's echoes coming off. So that also allows us, again, to analyze where was this gun. But first up, we just have an absolutely different sound between the first 3. There's no echo, it's much further away, it's more muffled, it's just not in the same place at all. But these next ones, very different sound, totally different weapons. Okay, full stop, we have 2 separate weapons, plus We have no echoes coming off of the first three, and then we do have echoes coming off of the next set.
Yeah, what the
and
hell?
That last one, that's different. That's not the sniper shot. The sniper shot is another 10 seconds later.
That's
so I don't know
wild.
what number 6 is here, but we're just going to bookmark it for now and go on. So audio analysis conducted by Nick tells us that if those next string of shots, those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are coming from shooter, or who we're going to call shooter 2, because shooter 1 is sending off those muffled ones. Shooter 2 is very consistent.
And so this crowd here was this was the crowd that was outside of the venue. Like, you know, this was the designated area for the rally, and these people hadn't actually gotten into the secured area. And so these were the people that were kind of noticing the shooter and trying to alert authorities that they could see him scaling the building and all of this. And then that one guy, if you watch my last video with the red hat and the red wig thing, I believe there was also another group that was outside of the actual venue area that was over here by the farms, which is kind of out of sight here. So there was groups on both sides of the rally that were kind of not in the rally, so say, you know, they were kind of more on the outskirts of it. But just kind of working out my own thoughts here, if there was a shooter in the building, which I'm kind of leaning more towards this. This is making more sense to me than somebody being up in that damn water tower. I'm not ruling that out yet, but you know, the first 8 shots did sound like they came from the same general area, but from different guns. And the first 3 were much more deliberate and much more precise, and would have been the perfect shot at hitting the target had it not been for Trump. That final, that sudden movement that he made that saved his life. And the other 5 seemed to be more from someone who was erratic and not as much of an experienced marksman. People don't shoot like that. People don't just go boom, 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 unless you're shooting a machine gun. If you're shooting a rifle, you have to take time to aim. So you're gonna have more of a boom, boom, boom rhythm to your shooting, especially if you're trying to aim at a target, than you would just firing off really quick like that. You're going to be much more all over the place with where your shots are going to land if you shoot that quickly. And what he was saying as far as the echoes go, and as far as why those 5 rounds sounded much more clear and much more closer, was that they were coming from outside of the building, and the first 3 were coming from inside the building, probably from a more experienced marksman. And this is I'm kind of developing something here, guys, and just stick with me because I'm working through my own thoughts. What if, obviously the Secret Service and the police had eyes on this guy 3 separate times before he was ever able to scale the side of the building, get on the roof, get his rifle set up, and take aim at President Trump. Okay, they knew this. People were pointing this out for several minutes beforehand. And not only that, he was filmed at that location, not only by Secret Service and police, they were probably onto him, okay? And they were probably onto him for quite some time. And it kind of is seeming and ringing true with me. It's kind of clicking with me that it's possible that they knew what he was up to, and they were going to let him get his position and not trust him with doing the actual deed, because they don't know if he was actually going to be able to succeed and kind of like finish the mission and really be able to take President Trump out. So as a means to an end, as a security measure, what if whoever coordinated this whole thing, whoever in the deep state, whoever in the FBI, the CIA wanted to take out President Trump, was posted up in the building, this command post building where the shooter was on the roof of. They obviously had some kind of eyes on him. You cannot tell me that they did not know the building that they were inside of was being scaled by some 20-year-old kid with a rifle, and they just had no idea. So they were letting all of this happen. They were letting him get on the roof. They were letting him get this position because they knew that they were going to be able to, right from that same trajectory, right from that same angle, be able to put a more skilled and competent marksman and shooter in place there in order to ensure the job was done and done accurately. But they didn't account for God. That's the one thing that these devils can never account for, is God. I don't know. That's I'm kind of getting chills right now. It's kind of settling in my soul. I don't know. That's just a little theory, that I'm thinking of, and just kind of, working this all out for myself. You guys, let me know what y'all think.
I've lined up that first blast of the gun with the arrival of the bullet so that it should be consistent, because if you have the explosion, the arrival of it downstream, they ought to line up, right? The timings ought to be the same. So sure enough, shot 1, no problemo, lines up perfectly. This is an echo up top there. Here's the echo down here for shot 1. The top bullet is echoing off of whatever it's echoing up there near the stage, and this is echoing probably off of that building surface we just showed you. So shot 1, 100%, we're good to go. Shot 2, same thing, lines up perfectly. It's got an echo right here. That's that little peak right there. And it's got an echo up top. Everything lines up. Shot 3, though, remember this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one doesn't line up. This one is actually, this shot happens about 0.03 seconds earlier. There's not alignment. It should be right under this peak, but it's not, which means the shot happened 0.03 seconds. It took 0.03 seconds longer for that bullet to get downstream, right? To the microphone in front of the Trump platform there. What does that mean? Well, that means that it's somewhere between, depending on the caliber and, maybe the caliber. I don't have any bullets here. I can't guarantee anything. Depending on a lot of things, the muzzle velocity of whatever this projectile was, and things like that. That 0.03 seconds, assuming it's 2,600 feet per second, that's how fast this thing's traveling. Could be 2,500, could be 3,000. I don't know what they're using, so you have to make some guesses. But it's further away. This implies the possibility that shots 1 and 2, those are fired by crooks, but somebody about 78 to 100 feet further away took shot 3. Then shots 4 and 5 line up again perfectly, but shot 6, hey, that's off the mark again by the same amount. And, there's not quite the echoes that are happening off of shot 3. We don't see the same. There should be an echo right here. There should be an echo right here. We don't see that, not like these big echoes. So there's a chance here, I'm making a chance that there's a possibility of there were 2 weapons being fired that are different from the first one. 1, 2, 3 are from weapon 1. Weapon 2 for sure is in a different spot, but there's a possibility because of those times of weapon 3. So it could be that 1, 2, 4, 5 were taken by crooks on the roof because he heard some stuff going on, decided to take his shots, but 3 and 6 were taken by somebody else another 100 feet away. I don't know. We're going to need more professional audio analysis, but I like it when everything lines up.
That makes sense.
Everything does line up.
So you guys get what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay. So whether or not, the last volley there, those last erratic shots were, this is so crazy, were crooks on the roof, and 3 and 6 came from a different weapon with a muzzle or a silencer on it, and that's why there was not the same sound or, an audible echo from those rounds being shot.
Until we get to there. And then further down the timeline, things get really weird, and things aren't lining up, but we don't know who's firing down at that end of the spectrum either. So some weird stuff down there, but it doesn't line up really well enough for my taste. Okay, so hypothesis. What do we have here? Okay, here's the hypothesis. At least 2 shooters. Don't know. The first 3 shots, I suspect my hypothesis is they came from inside the building. All right? They were inside that, like if Crooks was on the roof, open the window, those shots came in from down below. Why do I think that? Because that ensures that the crack boom are consistent with the Patsy on the roof. The angles are the same, the crack boom isn't off, there's nothing to analyze, right? If those first 3 shots come out from below Crooks, then it all lines up, right? And this aligns with what we have from video number 2's audio, where it's more distant, it's a muffled sound that would be more consistent with being inside. We don't have, it's also the upward slope of that bullet, right? Now that begins to line up, if it's true that that back victim was struck with bullet 1. And also all the lack of echoes. So everything's...
And why haven't we heard anything about how many shells were found on the roof? That was another question that people were asking, is that, well, it should be easy to tell how many rounds were shot by Crooks on the roof, because there should be shell casings next to his body, right? That has to be has to be noted. I mean, or you could tell by looking at the magazine, or you could tell by looking at the gun itself. I mean, there's a way to tell these things, and that is another answer that we need to have.
Consistent with that hypothesis, and it's just a hypothesis. I'm just trying to put some meat on the bones of what might have happened here, because I know for a fact we had 2 guns, period, maybe 3. I could make a case for 3. I'm not as solid on that. I'm going to wait for expert analysis. But we don't need any further expert analysis to understand there were 2 weapons being fired at the stage, right? Because here's what happened. These next string of shots down here, which I'm highlighting, this is the recording from video 2. This is, sorry, video 2's, yeah, audio 2, video 2. Video 1, which is taken from the microphone right at the front where Trump is, these are sonic signatures. So these booms led to these cracks, right? These explosions of this weapon resulted in bullets making sonic booms right over the microphone down at Trump stage. So let's be clear. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wasn't like, oh, because I can hear it already. They're like, oh, well, the Beaver County Emergency Services Unit saw him and climbed up and blah, 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 blah. Really, I guess that's what it was. That's not what it was. This second weapon that was fired, leaving the echoes and that sharper crack, that was fired towards the stands. So we have 2 shooters, guaranteed, full stop.
That's fascinating. So I like the way he put that together. The other guy, John Cullen, I want to give him his credit as well, because he has done a lot of analysis as well. I'm going to say I don't really so much agree with his analysis. I agree with this guy, what he's saying. Maybe it's because it's more well put together for me. It's like a very nice little package, but it just makes more sense to me, and it rings truer than some random guy up on a water tower and analyzing shadows from 1,000 feet away. I don't know. It's just, like I said, I'm not closed off to the water tower theory of somebody being up there, but from the sounds of the bullets, it did sound like the first 8 came from the same generalized area, and then whatever was heard after that, whether it was another 1 to 4 shots that were much more muffled, some without even an echo or that aftershock of the bullet being shot. And that very, very last one, the 11th or 10th or whatever, however many bullets you count, 9th, 10th, whatever, that one sounded like the very last sniper shot to me, because who was shooting? What was that very last super delayed lone shot? And who took that shot? These are all things that we need to know. So I don't know, guys. It's crazy times out here. And the last thing I want to say is that the reason why this video was titled the Democracy is Dying is everyone's pivoting away from the story, or at least the media, and talking about Joe Biden dropping out of the race. Now, we don't know whether he will or he won't. It seems like there's a massive pressure campaign going on right now to push him out. You can feel, I guess, a couple ways about this. So the massive pressure campaign that's been going on with Joe Biden, it just seems like, to me, like I was of the mind that, like, there's no way they're getting this guy out. He seems too ornery, too obstinate. He's not going to allow himself to be pushed out. But it has been heating up, and I think that a lot of this has to do with this botched job that the deep state has utterly failed at. I mean, it's been such a tragic failure of epic proportions, of attempting to assassinate President Trump and failing miserably. And now they're just desperately trying to change the message and throwing Joe Biden completely under the bus in a remarkable way. So I didn't really think that it was going to happen until this last week or so, when I've seen so many different Democrats come out against him and say that it's time to drop out. There was an ad that dropped today by this super PAC, basically asking Joe Biden to pass the torch and to get out of the race, which is insane. I mean, it is July, right? The end of July. We have an election in November. I'm sorry. What is going on? What the fuck is happening? I find it to be outrageous, and I really do think that this is so disrespectful to Democrats. Not that I actually give much of a shit about them anyways, but I do on some level, because they're my fellow Americans, and the ones that aren't lunatics, I care about them. Even the ones that are lunatics. As a Christian, I don't want to see them dead. I'll just put it that way. But, I think it is disrespectful, and I wouldn't want it happening to me, so I'm going to advocate against it happening to them. If the Democrat Party were to remove Joe Biden or push him out and put in a new person, unelected, by the way, they've already had their primary. They're fixing to have their convention at the, at the end of August or sometime in August, where they're going to officially nominate Joe Biden. Okay, so not one person will have voted for this supposed ghost person that they're going to push Joe Biden out for. I think that's I think that's an abomination. Okay, our government is so blatant right now that what they're doing is just, I mean, it is beyond the scope of what America is about. To take a nominee and to take the person that is their incumbent, okay? They chose this guy. It's like, on one hand, I feel sorry for the voters, and on the other hand, I'm like, no, y'all are stuck with him. That was your guy. Take him. Go lay in that bed. Absolutely fucking not. Will you guys pull a last minute switcheroo and try to mess things up once again? They're always meddling. Once again, they're going to try to do something shady and unprecedented by taking Biden out in August and having an election 3 months later. That's beyond the scope, okay? It is beyond. In my opinion, it shouldn't be allowed. No. You guys wanted him so bad, take him. And if you win and if you lose so miserably, then eat it. I don't give a shit. And it's disrespectful to the voters because there are people out there who are stupid enough to actually want Joe Biden who did vote for him. And that's what the process is. I don't care if you don't like it or if you think you're going to lose and now you're panicking. You don't then just pull a rabbit out of the hat and do a last minute, Chinese fire drill and get that guy out of there for another guy that nobody fucking voted. I mean, it's just, am I living in a crazy world? Am I crazy to be saying this? Because maybe, yeah, we want to win. We want Donald Trump to be back there, but it's like, y'all can't do this. You cannot do this. Because if they do it now, they're going to try it whenever. Anytime that they feel like they're losing and they can pull a last minute, switcheroo on us to try to, throw a Hail Mary pass and pull a win out of their ass, then they'll do it. I mean, they've already proven that they'll do whatever it takes because they're greedy, power-hungry psychopaths. Hey guys, so editing here, and I just wanted to jump on and say that it became official today that Joe Biden is in fact dropping out of the 2024 presidential race, okay? So, epic failure, epic L for our country. This is a horrible moment for both parties, in my opinion. I mean, everyone's guilty here, and it's just a tragic failure, okay? I mean, my God, I can't imagine being a Democrat right now and how pissed off I would be having been robbed of a primary competition, having been robbed of being able to select a leader of my party who is worth the damn and who can actually make it through a campaign cycle. And then he still remains president to this day. So he is dropping out of his race, but not resigning the office of the presidency. So we're going to have Joe Biden as an old retard who can't even continue a run for president as, the fake president in the Oval Office for the next 3 to 4 months while we wait, or I'm sorry, actually longer than that, until January of next year. Joe Biden will be at the helm, completely too old to run, completely too decrepit and too mentally ill and mentally beyond his any capacities that he's ever had to be able to run for office, but he's going to be in charge of the whole entire country. Okay, so it's a very, very bad moment for this entire country, and I just want to read you guys a statement from Speaker Mike Johnson because I felt that he said it perfectly. So, at this unprecedented juncture in American history, we must be clear about what just happened. The Democrat Party forced the Democrat nominee off the ballot just over 100 days before the election, having invalidated the votes of more than 14 million Americans who selected Joe Biden to be the Democratic nominee for president. The self-proclaimed Party of Democracy has proven exactly the opposite. The party's prospects are no better now with Vice President Kamala Harris, who co-owns this disastrous policy failures of the Biden administration. As a second in command and a completely inept border czar, Kamala Harris has been a gleeful accomplice not only in the destruction of American sovereignty, security, and prosperity, but also in the largest political cover-up in U.S. history. She has been known She has known for as long as anyone else about his incapacity to serve. Regardless of the chaos in the current White House, our adversaries around the globe should be reminded that the U.S. Congress, the U.S. military, and the American people are fully prepared and committed to defend our interests both at home and abroad. If Joe Biden is not fit to run for president, he is not fit to serve as president. He must resign the office immediately. November 5th cannot arrive soon enough. And that is absolutely took the words out of my mouth. I mean, he's a disaster. Joe Biden is an unmitigated disaster, and I feel that they threatened him sufficiently enough with the ruination of his legacy. I say that with very, there's words that they would use to describe it. I would use to describe his career in politics as a complete and utter travesty. But nevertheless, they threatened him sufficiently enough that he was forced to do this. Some people are saying that they don't even know if Joe Biden really was the one behind the letter that was posted on his Twitter page, because that's the way that he announced it. Not with a press conference, not with a public address, but a tweet, okay, was how he announced that he would be not stepping down as president, but stepping down from his campaign. I mean, it's just absolutely, I mean, I'm blown away. I truly am blown away. And I had a feeling this was going to happen, but I didn't think that they would be this blatant as to do something so horrible to everyone and more specifically to their voters, but it looks like they have. And then Joe Biden went and endorsed Kamala Harris. So he's supposed to make an address on national TV in the next couple days, so we'll see what he has to say there and whether or not he did in fact know. I mean, it's being reported that White House aides were surprised by this news, that lots of people didn't really know. But yet Kamala Harris has already come out with her very own campaign ad, and I wonder how long that's been available and how long that's been in the works. But anyways, guys, I just wanted to come on here and provide that update because, like I said, I'm editing this video and it's just breaking. So I was shocked and I was really blown away that they actually are going through with this. So we'll continue with the video. But just today, this came out from the Dallas Morning News. Biden says he's not stepping aside and he'll campaign next week. And he's also got COVID, by the way, which he deserves because he's an idiot. And, you know, he's apparently now had it 3 times, even though he's had, like 3 vaccines also. Just absolute retard shit. Guys, if you got the vaccine, I'm sorry. I do feel sorry for you guys. Don't ever let them do that to you again. Don't ever let them do that to you again. Try to scare you into doing something that you're unsure of or that you don't want to do, because just like look at all the different examples of people who got this shot in their arm multiple times and still got COVID. It's absolute clown world shit. So President Joe Biden on Friday appealed for party unity to take on former President Trump's dark vision, working to hold off pressure from the Democrats at the highest levels for him to bow out of the 2024 election to make way for a new nominee and avoid widespread losses. So just, I don't want to hear about our democracy anymore. I don't want to hear about anybody being a threat to democracy. When you guys want to just put an unnamed new nominee to avoid widespread losses. So you don't care about democracy. You don't care about our government. You don't care about our Constitution. You don't care about our country. You care about winning. And you care about you not losing. And I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to the swamp monsters and the leftist Democrat absolute diseases of people that don't care one bit about any of us. It's I mean, I get so mad after this week of what they have pulled. It just drives me insane. And if they do this, if they do, having tried to assassinate Donald Trump, end up taking Joe Biden out of this race and just sticking someone else in there, I don't even care if it's better for conservatives. I don't care if they put Kamala up there and Donald Trump, wins all 50 states because Kamala is such a retard. I would still be pissed off because that's not how it's done. And if they can do it to them, they can do it to us. Oh, it drives me crazy. I mean, we're in August almost, okay? August, and the election's in November. Why haven't you guys got this figured out yet? Why are you guys not prepared? Donald Trump's been the presumptive nominee for like 2 years now, okay? Ridiculous. So Biden in a Friday statement said Trump's acceptance speech at the RNC on Thursday showcased a dark vision for the future. Yeah, he would know. The president, seeking to move the political conversation away from his fate and onto his rival's agenda, said he was planning to return to the campaign trail next week and insisted he has a path to victory over Trump, despite the worries of some of his party's most eminent members. Together as a party and as a country, can and will defeat him at the ballot box, man. Or at the battle box. At the battle box? Or the ballot box? I don't know, man. The stakes are high, and the choice is clear. Together we will win. Together we will win. Anyways, I'm going back to bed. That was Joe Biden's statement. Okay. Earlier in the day, his campaign chair, Jen O'Malley Dillon, acknowledged slippage. That's a word. In support for the president, but insisted he is absolutely remaining in the race and that the campaign sees multiple paths to beat Trump. Are those multiple paths? Are those more assassination attempts? Because I don't know. We have a lot of work to do to reassure the American people that yes, he's old, but he can win. She told Morning Joe, but she said voters concerned about Biden's fitness to lead aren't switching to vote for Trump. They have questions, but they're staying with Joe Biden. And those people are among the most retarded of us, okay? Those are the ones, the sheep, the non-thinkers, the agenda and propaganda repeatists, okay? So it goes on to talk about all the different people that have called for him to drop out. Some prominent figures, some not, some, big names they're dropping, like Nancy Pelosi and Obama are saying things behind the scenes. Apparently Chuck Schumer and all these supposed Democrat leaders are urging him to get out and all this stuff. And I just think it's despicable. I'm disgusted with these people. I'm disgusted with our government. I really, truly am. I don't know what's going to happen over these next few months and these next 4 years. And it makes me worried, but I don't know, guys. What do y'all think about all of this? I mean, am I just blackpilled? Am I just wrong? What do y'all think, guys? Let me know in the comments, because I just have so much that I'm processing right now over all of these different things that they're throwing at us, and it's all for a reason. I feel like they really bombard you with the bullshit whenever they're up to no good. And that's how you know they're up to no good, because there's been a whole lot of bullshit lately. But y'all like this video if you guys liked it. And leave me some comments. Let me know what y'all think. I really appreciate when y'all do comment. And I really appreciate when y'all subscribe to the channel. So y'all should absolutely do that, because I'm trying to reach a goal of 2,000 subscribers. It's been a long time coming, guys. I've had, a struggle session with YouTube with this channel. They've really buried me under their little boot. So please subscribe. And until next time, guys, y'all take it easy. And I will see you guys later. Bye.